Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be installing a pair of Bowers Wilkins M-1 speakers to their matching stands. I recently upgraded to the 600 series for my left, center, and right speakers, so for the rear channels of my surround sound system these looked like a good choice, but when I researched for this purchase I found tons of videos online about the speakers themselves and not one single video about the stands. So of course this is a great opportunity to make a video so that if anybody else is on the fence about buying these or needs help installing them, hopefully this video will help you. In full disclosure that I paid for all of these with my own funds. No one is sponsoring this video, but I will put an affiliated Amazon link down in the video description if you're interested in purchasing these. So with that, let's start the unboxing. On the top of the box we have the instructions, and you probably will need to reference these. It's not just a typical speaker that you pull out of the box and plug into the wire. This speaker has different ways of mounting it, whether you use the stand or the wall mount. So there are some special instructions you'll need to follow, especially for connecting the wire. Now let's open it. Oh wow, it is a little bit larger than I was expecting, and it looks like the stand actually is already installed. So maybe that will make things easier. We do have here the wall mount, and I believe this is, yes, it is two pieces here, so you connect your speaker wire into there, and then the cover goes over it, and then there's a procedure to actually connect that to the back of the speaker. In our case, we're going to be using the stands, so we don't need the wall mount, and we don't need the stand either. We will be removing that. So now, let's get the speaker out of the packaging. So here is the speaker itself. It does have a very unique design. When I looked for small, unobtrusive, but aesthetically pleasing options for speakers, a lot of them you sacrifice the actual sound quality because the drivers were very small. This one has a very large 4-inch woofer, 1-inch tweeter, but they were very good at designing this in that it can have, good, almost full range sound, but in a sleek package. So whether it's in a corner, on a wall or whatever, it looks pretty slim, although the actual cabinet itself is pretty big, which will give it better sound. On the back we can see the little ball head joint. This plastic thing here I did read was for the logo, so you can actually use this as a center channel. Then they let you move the logo to rotate it so it doesn't look like it's sideways. In my case, I'm just going to be using it in the regular vertical orientation, so we can move that off. If you will be using the tabletop stand that comes pre-installed in the speaker, remove the rubber cover off of the bottom, and you'll find the terminals inside. You'll need to split your speaker wire pretty far apart to fit into the two holes there to guide the wire through. With this cable, I'm going to be using the side with the blue stripe as the positive side, and you just simply feed the wire in through like this. Now these are not typical binding posts that will accept banana plugs or spades or anything like that. You just push these down, fish the cable through, let go, and then as you can see it's pretty snug in there. And then you'll do the same thing with the negative side, and then what this actually does internally is this connection here matches up with these wires, goes into here, which then goes into like a little pin, and then that actually connects into the crossover and the actual drivers inside of the speaker. And now we'll see how to attach this to the floor stand. This is a very heavy box, and when I actually purchased it from Amazon, they did not package it very well, and it was flopping around in the box, and as you can see, maybe the bottom of it has kind of broken because the bases, which are very heavy, slid out of the box. So this is already kind of ripped. This is also ripped as well. But we'll go ahead and open this up the rest of the way. So it looks like here on the top we have the two poles. They do thankfully use some foam, so I'm glad to see that the poles are not scratched up, because I did read a lot of reviews on this, and the only bad reviews I could read about this were that it's not packaged very well, and that things slide around and pop out. And as you can see, like things like this are all bent out of shape, but that's fine. This also got a little squished. And here are the very heavy stands I don't know how much these weigh. Thankfully, there is no damage to them, so that is good. But I will say that the stands are definitely very heavy, and once you get these speakers mounted, they will not be easily knocked over if you have children or pets or anything like that. Here is everything that came in the box. So now we need to take a look at the instructions that came with these. And this was the other biggest complaint about the speaker stands, is that the directions are not very clear because there's no written instructions. It's all pictures similar to what you would get from IKEA. So it looks like we received all of the pieces that we should have, which is good. Step number 2 says we need to install this plastic little bracket here to the bottom of the stand, and there are 2 screws that go on the bottom. And line this up. All right, so the next step is we need to remove the base off of the speaker where the little Allen key is, and take the top off of the stand so that we can route the cable through. And it's a little confusing because they do give you this Allen key, but this Allen key is not the one you need. It's actually a different one in the bottom of the speaker. So we're going to take off this rubber cover, which comes off pretty easily, and sure enough, there is the Allen key that we need. Okay, so here is the top of the speaker stand, and we're going to use the Allen key that it came with, and it looks like that's actually very loose. We unscrew this from the top. There we go. Okay, so we got that off. All you really need to do is unscrew this top, and then it comes up and out. Moving on to the next page of the instructions, we now need to get our speaker cable ready because the speaker cable is actually going to terminate into the bottom of this piece here. So now we need to run the speaker wire. And I'm going to advise that you take your speaker stand, put it on the floor like this, and you actually want to start feeding your speaker cable through the stand like so that you can get to the end of the speaker cable through the top. It's going to stick out, and that is where it will join up with the piece that we removed. You can see this is where it's going to actually join up with the speaker here. So we want to actually do the splicing and terminations while it's routed through the stand. So let's feed just a little bit through here so I have something to work with. Now this is the first time I'm using flat speaker cable, and honestly I wasn't even sure if it was going to work with the stand, but I think it will work just fine. This is 16 gauge, which normally with round speaker cable you can use something like this and strip the insulation off of the copper that way. But I found that in the first attempt that I did this, that did not work very well because this is flat. So what I actually ended up doing is just using the flat cutting part here to kind of cut through the insulation to get the insulation off. And one thing I do want to note is you can see here the speaker cable does not need to go very far. Typically you would probably strip off an inch or so and you would curl it up real thin and put it into your speaker terminal, but in this case you don't need to do that. You actually need just a very small amount, just enough. This is all the further it's going in, so you only need to strip off a small amount, and you don't want to make it real thin because that screw is going to set on the copper and that's how it's going to make its connection. So you want a good connection there. And also you want to be mindful of the polarity. Most speaker cable will either have a label or maybe a line or something on one side of the cable. In this case, we will use the side that says Crutchfield on it, and the labeling, we will use that as the positive, which we'll put on this side here with the plus, and the bare side without the labeling, we will put in the negative, and that way we will have the polarity correct. Okay, so there you can see I removed just a little bit of that insulation, and now we're going to put it into the terminals. So again, we have this side is going to be our positive. So take your time and do it right, because it's going to be a pain to go back and correct this. So try and do it right the first time. Okay, so now we have our wire properly terminated in there. You want to give it a little tug to make sure that it is in there all the way. And you see how you don't want to strip too much of that insulation off. You want to keep it as short as possible so that it goes all the way in there, but it's not, you know, hanging out half the way. And just so you know, this speaker tube is completely hollow. Originally, it looked like there was just a very small hole that you could route it through, but you actually can put excess cable in there if you wish. So now we are going to slide the terminated bracket here into the top of the stand. You'll want to line up this little peg here with that hole that you can see here. So just make sure that you push that excess speaker wire inside the stand. And then once you get that little peg through like this, now we're going to put that little screw back into the top. And then we're going to use the Allen key that came from the bottom of the speaker, and we're going to tighten this top part back into the stand. Well, here is the first flaw I found with this stand, and while screwing in this top screw here, you can see that it has actually bent the metal and it's not making a very good connection. I'm not sure how that happened, and actually I think I do recall hearing some people in the reviews reporting the same kind of problem. So I'm going to take maybe the pliers here off of this wire stripper and try and bend. Oh yeah, there we go. And here is what it looks like from the top where that screw is going in. Okay, so that's in there now. It feels pretty tight and it's not coming off, so we're all good. One tip when running this speaker cable through the channel is that if you're using flat wire or really any wire that has labeling on one side but not the other, you'll want to be mindful so that the labeling is not facing up. You'll have a cleaner look if you put the labeling side on the floor. So I'm going to, you can simply just, you know, twist it if you have it going the wrong way. This particular 16 gauge flat speaker cable fits in this channel just perfectly, and you just simply put the cover over like that and then put the screws back in. All right, so now our speaker cable is ran through the channel. They do give you rubber feet to put on the bottom of the stand. There are a few different places you can put them, but I chose 2 in the back, 1 on each side, and 1 in the front. So here's what it looks like with the speaker cable coming out of the stand. It's a nice clean look. So the next step is we need to remove this base off of the speaker. And this was a little bit complicated because you would think that this is a screw that you need to unscrew like all the other screws we've done so far, but actually this is not a full screw. You simply just insert the Allen key like this and you just pull it. You see it doesn't twist all the way. It's just like a latching mechanism. So you just pull it to the left, and then as you're doing that, you want to kind of wiggle the stand off, and there you can see how it comes off. So now we're going to mount the speaker onto the top of the stand, and you may remember there's this rubber piece that we removed off of the top which covers up this screw, the one that we struggled with, and that is actually going to go back in here. But first it looks like we need to basically put this down, and we should hear a click. If you have trouble mounting the speaker onto the stand, the manual does not say, but you actually need to push in on this button. When you push in that button, it actually pushes this release that latches onto the speaker. And that piece that you saw moving is what clamps onto here. So if we hold this in, push this straight down, it doesn't actually click like the manual says it will. However, when you pull up on it, you should feel that it's latched on there and it does not come out. If you do need to remove it, just push in that button and then you can pull straight out. So once the speaker is put in there, you just kind of wedge this rubberized piece back in there. So now we're going to take the Allen key, the small one, not the one that came from the bottom of the speaker, and we're going to use this to tighten this screw here. I'm not sure what this really does, but I'm guessing it kind of locks it into place, and now it's in there pretty good. So here's what it looks like with the speaker on the stand. And as you can see, it's a pretty clean look. Here's the side profile. You can see it's nice how the speaker connections actually terminate into here and go inside the speaker. You don't have the wires hanging out and then going into the stand. And it's a pretty clean, modern, aesthetic look. So now all that's left is to do the exact same process again for the second speaker and the second stand, and you'll be all completed. So in the end, I think these turned out great, and I've been pleased with their performance. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please take a moment to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in purchasing these products or anything on Amazon, please consider using the affiliate links in my video description. Your price stays the same, but a small commission may come back to me on anything you buy using my link. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. And with that, I thank you for watching and have a great day.